Jamel Spearman's got the ball in hand. Ven-Allen Lubin takes the tap. He's into the starting lineup, but Dorian Onwuchekwa wins it. And here come the Jackets in the old gold to start on the road. Dribble handoff up top for Nate George, the sophomore point guard from Toronto. And off to the leading scorer, Lance Terry. And here is Baye Ndongo, preseason second team All-ACC on a skip for Luke O'Brien. Late shot clock, Onwuchekwa. Post entry. Ndongo, the face-up on Lubin. Couldn't get the jumper to go. Starters for North Carolina. Team that's been scoring a lot and conceding a lot. And Drake Powell moved into the starting lineup Wednesday against Alabama. And another lineup change for Hubert Davis, like we said, with the Vandy transfer, Ven-Allen Lubin in. Strong drive, no finish for Elliot Cadeau. Starters for the Jackets. I told you Lance Terry's the leading scorer at about 15 a game. So short-handed Georgia Tech team dealing with injuries to a couple of starters. Nate George swirls one out. Offensive rebound and a follow for Ndongo.
You see here early, both teams are trying to establish the ball inside and attack the rim. The one advantage in this game you may say Georgia Tech has with their size is the ability to crash the offensive glass.
Elliot Cadeau, no. And it hasn't been a great rebounding team for North Carolina so far, something Hubert Davis has been reiterating all season and again with us pregame. Here's Ndongo. Fouled out in 14 minutes against Oklahoma on Tuesday. And North Carolina forces the turnover. Heels want to run.
Ndongo's been really passive. He had 2 touches in a row and he's passed both times on the block. He's got to get really aggressive and assert himself.
We mentioned the injuries for Georgia Tech. 4th straight game there without Javian McCullum, the Oklahoma transfer who's got a concussion. He got smoked with a screen 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati. And then Kawasi Reeves, the senior who last year hit 38% from 3. He's dealing with a foot injury.
McCollum is just one of those guys with a really great mid-range game, and they'll miss his scoring. He has the potential to be a 50, 40, 90 guy.
Seth Trimble draws a foul on O'Brien in transition.
Seth Trimble is nearly impossible to stop with his size, his speed, and athleticism. There's not a better guard in college basketball offensively in transition coming downhill. You got to get back and corral to him.
And I know you think tempo is a huge part of this game. Nothing new with North Carolina, but maybe even more so, you think, than normal for the Tar Heels?
I do, because they, for the first time in a long time, Carolina doesn't have that interior presence, the ability to drop the ball off inside when they get into half court. And they're relying upon their guards, and being honest, they're all relatively small guards. And so there's no interior presence. Washington and Powell and these guys are better on the perimeter, so they don't have an interior presence when the game gets slowed down and it's in half court. And they want to press tempo, which is something that Carolina's always done. But when things slow down and as you start playing some of these better teams, they force you into playing a half-court offense.
The junior from Wisconsin, Seth Trimble, good on both. And Jalen Washington, 2 minutes in, he enters for Ven-Allen Lubin. And O'Brien to the Georgia Tech bench with 2 early fouls. Here's Lance Terry, back from the calf injury, kept him out all of last year. How about Onwuchekwa? Only his 3rd collegiate 3, the 6'11" true freshman from Dallas.
D.O., as they call him, has that range. You look at his percentages, and he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's one of those guys that Stoudamire says he picks a freshman every year, and he just lets him play. And this year, it's D.O. He says he's going to let him play through his mistakes.
Had only been 2 for 15. Jaden Mustaf, the blue chip freshman, missed. And a foul on the rebounding action goes against Onwuchekwa.
Mustaf just checked into the game. He didn't want his first shot to be a 3, but that's one you got to let go. Strength in his game is attacking the rim, but that's an opportunity there to walk into one, and you turn down a good shot to try to attack the rim and take a shot where you're being challenged at the rim.
There's Drake Powell, top 15 recruit, the freshman making a 2nd consecutive start, like we said. R.J. Davis, the drive and kick. Cadeau off the extra pass, no. And here's Mustaf.
Good look there.
Physical freshman coming off a productive game against Oklahoma in that loss Tuesday in Norman. Back out Ndongo. Too strong. Cadeau off the bounce. Lays it in. Tough finish.
Great job there by Ellie Cadeau. Just pushing tempo, attacking the rim. Got to engage the ball and engage him a lot quicker than that.
Doug, Dan, thank you very much, gentlemen, and welcome to Chapel Hill as we continue the start of ACC play. Alongside Randolph Childress, I'm Mike Monaco for Georgia Tech and North Carolina. Seth Trimble gets a deflection in the first 4 minutes. It stays with Georgia Tech with 1.6 on the timer. And Randolph, if you're just joining us here after a close one down the stretch, went the way of Wake Forest. These are two teams very hungry for a win.
Both teams are desperate for a win. Coming in different reasons. I think Carolina's struggling on the defensive end. Tech is struggling some as well, but they're missing 2 starters.
George hits at the expiration of the shot clock.
Steph Curry like. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Just heaves up a 3.
There's Ian Jackson coming off 23 off the bench in North Carolina's loss on Wednesday against Alabama. And North Carolina on this 3-game losing streak. Granted, against one of the toughest schedules in the country. Trails by 4 in the early going to Damon Stoudamire's Georgia Tech team. Here's Duncan Powell. Got stripped by Seth Trimble. And North Carolina forces the turnover.
When you're trying to pull off an upset, sometimes you need things to go your way. Taking a shot like this by Nate George with the shot clock running low gives you a chance to do so. Tech up 4 here. Chapel Hill for the Tar Heels.
It's what Hubert Davis said to us pregame. Nothing's changed.
No.
This team has to defend, and he said rebound as well, to get to the level that they want to. And he said to us today, it's time. Early 4-point hole against Georgia Tech, who picked off a bunch of big wins last year in year 1 for Damon Stoudamire on the flats. R.J. Davis came around the screen, got the switch, gives it up to Drake Powell. Driving on Lance Terry and back out for Davis. 1 for 11 from 3 against Alabama. There's Jaden Mustaf. Very talented freshman. Was a huge get in recruiting for the Jackets. He went spinning. Powell moved it. Terry drives, went up for the jam, got his own miss. Can't follow. Powell, the 3rd effort, draws a foul.
And this is what we talk about with the problems and the issues that the Tar Heels are having on the glass. And because you don't have rim protection, there's no fear to drive. And when the big comes over, it's the guard's responsibility to come over and crack down on those bigs. And you see Powell cleaning up the glass. He and D.O. crashing the offensive glass. They just don't have enough resistance right now. And that possession there is a microcosm of what the Tar Heels are doing.
Well, it puts Duncan Powell at the line, and you may have noticed his hair. It's a ducktail drop shag, he says. And so naturally, he's got the Shag Man tattooed on his left leg.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
He has said, I don't have many options for hair, but I do what I can do. And there's the tat, because who wouldn't be called the Shag Man when you're rocking the drop shag?
I don't have options either with my hair, just to be honest, easy. So maybe I'm just missing the tat.
Davis turned it over, and then Dorian Onwuchekwa couldn't handle the feed from Nate George. Tar Heels, of course, want to push. Here's Ian Jackson, top 10 freshman in the country, coming off 23 off the bench in the loss to Alabama. Davis drives on Mustaf, had it blocked by Onwuchekwa. Trimble ran it down, and he gets bumped and fouled by Mustaf.
Just a great start here by the Yellow Jackets, just controlling the paint, shot blocking at the rim. They have so much length at their 4 and 5 spots. As Onwuchekwa comes over and blocks that shot. I mean, just his presence inside. I mean, he's going to be able, as the game slows down, as he physically matures, he's switching here, he's switching on R.J. Davis, Ellie Cadeau guarding the ball. They finished it by Ellie Cadeau.
Cadeau on the drive with the finish, and he's got 4 of the 6 for North Carolina.
They're trying to make him a scorer. his strength is creating for everyone else. You can see the game plan is to make Elliot Cadeau be a scorer and not get in the paint and be disruptive with his vision.
Mustaf muscling on Davis. Pick and pop onto Chekwa. Already knocked down 1-3 if you weren't with us earlier. Cadeau pushes. Beautiful cross. Can't finish. And then ripped it away. We've got a foul underneath on Dorian Onwuchekwa.
Great drive there by Elliot Cadeau. He senses that they're not picking him up in transition. He's attacking. He's getting to the rim. Missed the layup, but great job there, stealing the ball, drawing the foul.
Well, there's Hubert Davis. He told us after the loss Wednesday to Alabama, he went to bed at 6 a.m. and then he told us he did something in practice yesterday he's never done as a head coach. The entire team watched the entire game back. It took them 3.5 hours. There was no cut-up of the game. They watched every single play together in a closed-door practice that you can imagine was pretty intense.
Mike, I can't tell you how much those are the worst. You don't like him as a player, and you really don't like him as a coach. And I asked him, I've been on staffs with coaches where we've watched him first thing in the morning, and he said, hey, I didn't go to bed at 6 o'clock. I wasn't going to punish myself having to watch that mess twice.
Jaden Mustaf, the miss. Cadeau pushing, kind of casual pass tipped away by Duncan Powell, who's in there for Georgia Tech because they're dealing with a lot of foul trouble here in the first 7 minutes. Both Luke O'Brien and Dorian Onwuchekwa have 2 first-half fouls for Damon Stoudamire. Off the lob, given away by Cadeau, and Nate George pushes, dishes, Powell underneath, and the Shagman finishes.
You hadn't seen Powell play. He's very physical, really good on the offensive glass and the defensive glass, and also strong enough to carve out angles to finish inside, as you saw there.
He's coming off his best game in year 1 with Georgia Tech. Had a double-double in the loss to Oklahoma. It was a lot closer than the 15-point final spread. Shot clock winding down. Davis driving on by Ndongo. Wrapped it around for Jalen Withers, and another North Carolina turnover. That's 4 of them.
Yellow Jackets are making Carolina the perimeter shooters. The only person that's actually been able to get to the rim is Elliot Cadeau. But they've done a good job of challenging at the rim. So they're not allowing that skip pass. They've been there to take that away and using their length, trying to force the Tar Heels to finish over that length inside.
His teams met once last year, and Georgia Tech got the 1-point win back in Midtown Atlanta. Lance Terry connects, and the lead is 8 for Georgia Tech in the first 8 minutes.
We talked about Carolina wanting to run. You can't run if you can't get stops and you can't control the glass.
Cadeau for Lubin, tough to handle. Withers kept it alive. Jackson drives, slices, and finishes.
Great job by the freshman there, driving a closeout and avoiding the charge.
First points for Ian Jackson, who you see was number 7 in the ESPN 100. O'Brien in there with 2 first-half fouls. So they get the stop, and now Carolina can push. And they'll set up the half-court offense. And it's an illegal screen set by Jalen Withers. So Georgia Tech's got the lead season.
They did. I thought they did a great job. They're in an interesting stretch. They're just on the road right now. Last year they had the ACC SEC Challenge. They were home. They beat Mississippi State and then followed that up with a win against Duke. This year they had the same challenge in response, but they're on the road.
At 4-4, picked 12th of the 18 teams in the ACC in the preseason poll. There's the Colorado transfer, O'Brien back out for Nate George. Here's Baye Ndongo. They're looking for him to get going at the start of his sophomore season. Shot clock winding down on Lubin, and Ndongo finishes.
I don't think there's a matchup for him. He just has to get aggressive. I think he can turn and face a couple of times instead of trying to back him down. He is really skilled in a difficult matchup.
Jackson answers. Ndongo is such an important piece,
yes.
Obviously,
yes,
for Georgia Tech. And Damon Stoudamire said it after their loss Tuesday. Ndongo knows he needs to be better.
He does. And he told me he had to sit down with him right after the Oklahoma game. He's like, look, he got back. Like, first thing in the morning, you're in my office. We need to have a conversation. We need to talk.
About everything.
Yes, yes. Let's cut out the distractions, focus in on being the player we need you to be and that you need to be. Both ends of the floor.
Cadeau driving kick for a corner three. Withers off target.
Georgia Tech's going to live with those shots. They're going to let the Carolina bigs take those threes. They're worried about stopping the guard's penetration. And they're going to live with their bigs taking corner threes.
Powell does the same. He misses. Withers clears it, and Jackson pushes. Attacking offensive foul.
That's what we talked about, Mike. Good teams or teams in this league, Carolina's been great in transition offense since Coach Smith was here. And when you play against, the first thing you're going to do when you play against the Tar Heels is tell all 5 guys you got to get back and force this team to be in a half-court offense. And that's what Yellow Jackets are doing a great job of right now.
Mustaf took that charge, and he is slowed and hobbled a bit, reaching down at his right knee as he goes to the Georgia Tech bench.
So if he's okay, get back in there. He's been great the last 3 games for Georgia Tech, averaging 16 points a game. Big physical guard.
Pick and roll, and Ndongo had it roll off, and then Tyson and Washington both going for the rebound. Can't secure it and give it right back to the Jackets.
When you're struggling on the glass, you got to get 2 hands on the basketball. Do a really good job defensively here, and just unable to come up with it.
Lance Terry, no, off the baseline, out of bounds, drawn up for him. Trimble's ahead of the pack. Trimble went up the ladder with bad intentions.
You could see this coming. When he caught this pass, you knew it. No one in front of him, and Lance Terry is athletic, but he is not as athletic as Seth Trimble. Great job there, just being able to draw the foul.
Terry, who created a poster on Tuesday. You went about out of your seat in Norman, Oklahoma on Tuesday. Nearly was on one, but he did prevent it. Gets saddled with his first foul, putting Seth Trimble at the line. All right, so you got Seth Trimble, Elliot Cadeau, R.J. Davis. 3 guards.
Yes.
How do you think that's blending and evolving for North Carolina?
I think it takes time because of all 3 of those guys are better with the ball in their hands. And I know they're different players, but I don't think people understand when you're a point guard, you develop all your life catching outlet passes, not running lanes. So the adjustment that's happening right now with these guys is how do you implement what each guy does well and make them come together? And that takes time. R.J. Davis is the best of the 3 probably coming off screens. Elliot Cadeau is just an elite pass-first point guard, and Seth Trimble is elite in traffic.
Denied by Trimble on the lob from George. Cadeau pushes. Tyson for Trimble. Slashing, dropping it off. Washington underneath. Traveled with it.
And that's what's happening with Carolina right now. When the guards drop it off inside, Washington is just not comfortable there. And Trimble just showing you his athleticism, a great hustle to get back. Really talented 2-way player. I think he's the most consistent offensive player, both ends of the floor, not just offense, for the Tar Heels this season. But on the interior, Washington is so much more comfortable facing the basket. He's not comfortable inside amongst the trees, and they got to come away with a basket or a foul in a situation like that.
Ndongo missed the jumper. Heels with it, down by 4. Davis transition 3. Couldn't knock it down, and his struggles continue. And then Tyson went battling for an offensive rebound. But he was out on the baseline, and it belongs to Georgia Tech.
Carolina starting to push tempo a little bit there. They're trying to get out. They're trying to force tempo. Good shot there, and R.J. Davis just unable to knock it down.
He's still scoreless, 11.5 minutes in for North Carolina. Meantime, Tech has missed its last 5 shots. Terry rejected the screen. Jumper short, cleared by Cadeau, and he wants to push. Trimble attacks. Left-hand finish.
No one's better. No one's better with a head of steam in transition. You've got to get back 5 guys and corral not only the ball, but get back and get in front of Seth Trimble.
Crowd to life. Carolina forces the turnover. Trimble, the hammer. Trimble on both ends for North Carolina. He has authored an 8-0 run, and it's tied at 16 in Chapel Hill.
It's at ACC Media Day because most guys in his situation, they transfer out. And for him to stick around and they come back, not knowing how things was going to go, it's just a credit to him and his work and what he's put into it. And he has been rewarded. He's rewarding the Tar Heel Nation with his play, and he's been fun to watch. And make no mistake about it, I know R.J. Davis is on his team, but so far this year, he has been the most consistent player, and I think their best player.
Nate George misses the jumper, and Georgia Tech's scoring drought is approaching 4 minutes. North Carolina looking for the lead. Good to see Jaden Mustaf back into the game for the Jackets.
And this is what I said about the 3 guards. The tendency for everyone when they get the ball is to dribble.
Cadeau, tough shot.
And Tech is trying to force him into shooting. They want him to take those shots because he's just so dynamic in creating opportunities for shots for everyone else.
The Jackets have it trailing for the first time in this game. A switch for Tyson onto Mustaf. Off the bounce. And a carry is called on the freshman, Jaden Mustaf. 6th turnover for Georgia Tech.
You don't see that very often. I hadn't seen a carry called in a really long time.
My first basketball game of the year. I can't believe I just saw a carry called.
Yeah, well, that's because you were dribbling, and that's why.
Yeah, it's really good to be back with Randolph Childers. I missed that.
Got to keep you honest, my friend.
Inside of 7 to go in the first half. R.J. Davis off the screen.
Great job there. The freshman made a mistake on the offensive end of the floor, and he was pondering the carry, and then came back on the defensive end and made another mistake.
First made 3 for North Carolina. They've been 0 for 6 from deep, and the run is 13-zip for the Heels. Trimble. Did he draw a tie-up? Yes, he did, and the arrow points to North Carolina.
Just another play by Seth Trimble, impacting this game on the defensive end of the floor. Just a closeout. Man, that's just athleticism, strength, just taking it. Give me that.
He said in the preseason, enough is enough. It's time to show who I know I can be.
And
he's always tantalized with his athletic ability.
He has, but he's showing you he's so much more. 6'3", plays bigger. As Tech goes into the zone, and they'll play man when he gets in the middle and they pass it out. And
R.J. Davis went out of bounds on the sideline. So that's a 9th North Carolina turnover.
Both teams have been a little careless with the basketball here.
All right, what's Georgia Tech need offensively to stop this run?
I think it's Baye Ndongo. You got to get him the ball. They love to get him on slips in the middle ball screen here, and him rolling in that short corner.
Offensive foul. It's on Nate George. Creating off that pick and roll with Ndongo.
You can see some of the guys who watch the NBA guys do this, and Cadeau has been charged. They've charged him with a couple of offensive fouls in the last couple of games of him doing that, sticking that shoulder. And then when Nate George did the same to him, he made sure he hit the ground, trying to force the officials to make a play.
Tyson, too strong. Only 4 made 3s this season for the Belmont transfer. Cade Tyson brought in for his shooting. Georgia Tech with it, down by 5. Terry hiding behind the screen, much needed for Georgia Tech.
That's a mistake there by Seth Trimble. You cannot go under a ball screen on Lance Terry. You got to go over the screen, run him off the line. He's a 40% 3-point shooter.
Trimble attacked the Ndongo closeout, too easy. 10 for Seth Trimble. Ndongo.
One thing I noticed early that was an issue with the Tar Heels defense as well. They're doing a better job when they're icing the ball screen, pinning on the sides. The guards are more aggressive. The bigs are up and engaged as before they were laying off. Today they're more engaged on that ice ball screen.
Washington committed the foul by Ndongo. Late shot clock when Ndongo was a little bit out of control.
Yeah, I think he's settling a little bit. He needs to play, talking about Baye Ndongo, attack the rim a little bit more. He's really comfortable in the middle of the floor there. He's got to do a better job of attacking them.
So the sophomore from Senegal goes to the line. fouled out Tuesday in a 6-point game with 6.5 minutes to go. Just 4 points, 4 rebounds for the very talented 6'9" forward. We told you preseason second team All ACC. 67% free throw shooter in his career. Hey, coming up next, our basketball triple header is capped off with Stanford and Cal in Berkeley. Kyle Smith's Cardinal, Mark Matson's Golden Bears. Good to have league play underway here in early December.
It is. It's time. Nothing like ACC basketball. No matter what the narrative is out there, it's just historically been the best basketball conference there is, and they'll respond.
This is the 72nd season of ACC men's basketball, getting underway with conference play today.
Texas back in their zone defense now.
You like that choice, these few possessions of it?
I do. This Carolina's not a great three-point shooting team.
Jackson responds to that.
He didn't care what I say. But you give up those looks. This freshman is shooting over 40% from three. He wants to get in the paint, but more than capable of knocking down threes. He doesn't take a ton of them, but the ones he takes, he shoots them at a high clip.
George created some space, left the three short. Ndongo the offensive rebound and follow. 7 points to go along with 4 rebounds for Baye Ndongo.
That's what you want to see from both of those guys. You want Nate George to be a little bit more aggressive. He's a pass-first guy like Elliot Cadeau, and you want to see both of those guys be aggressive, looking to score. I think Elliot Cadeau has done a better job with Carolina. George has still been a little passive on the offensive end.
Jackson yanks it back on Terry. Too strong. And Ndongo aggressive for the rebound.
You'd like to see Jackson there shoot the first one. He just made the previous catch. Shoot three.
Ndongo made a good catch, but then missed off the pick and roll. And then Duncan Powell reaches in and gets tagged with his first foul. Well, Ian Jackson was huge with 23 points off the bench on Wednesday against Alabama, and he's got a turbo shot of 7 more in the first. I remember the first time hearing "as cool as the other side of the pillow" and thinking, wow, like that is exactly what I've always thought in the middle of the night as a child growing up, and he just put it perfectly into one of his iconic catchphrases on SportsCenter.
None better. None better.
Legend. Well, coming up on 3 minutes to go here at the Smith Center. It's North Carolina by 4 on Georgia Tech in the ACC opener. Part of this triple header here on ACC. Mustaf the hammer. Two-handed flush off the baseline feed.
That's why you want to get Baye Ndongo the ball in the middle of the floor. He's such a really good passer. So if you rotate over, he's looking to throw it to the weak side corner. That time, Mustaf cut to the basket and was able to finish.
RJ Davis. Deep three. Second three for RJ Davis, who'd only been clicking at 24% from deep so far this year.
Good sign there. Great job by RJ Davis creating space.
Trimble is relentless. Ndongo lays it in from Terry. Saw the note flash for North Carolina. They've got 29 points. You mentioned this to me during the break. Every single one is from 4 guards for the Heels.
Yes. No one on the front line has scored yet, and that's been a problem. And it forces you as a guard to feel like moves like this. You got to create and take tough shots. Yes.
RJ Davis off the behind the back. Maybe RJ Davis is starting to cook. He's got 8 on a couple threes, and the lead is 5. Terry, the top scorer for the Jackets, used the Ndongo screen, and now Mustaf.
That's what I mean, the difference in the deep ball screen defense now with the Tar Heels. They're up. The bigs are engaged. Low clock here. Great job on the ball.
Tough shot for George. Trimble is fouled by Mustaf, his second. R.J. Davis, we said at the top, has got to be the star he was last year for Carolina.
Did a great job there, driving, just sliding, but he's getting back into form. He's got to pick and choose his spots here. Difficult runner there off the glass, but he just knocked down the previous 3. He's got to get going and start scoring at a high clip. Right now, teams will want him to score. Their goal is to say, hey, he's going to get his 20, but let's make him get 20 shots to get it. He just needs to be a little bit more efficient and be selective in his shot selection.
RJ said this after the Alabama game. He said teams are guarding me differently.
Yes.
And a large part of that is who's not here in Baycott and the shooters.
Yes, I can tell you from the other side and talking to the other coaches, Armando Baycott, you had no chance against Carolina. If you rotated your big off and Armando came down the lane to rebound, teams were committed to keeping a big on his body at all times, and it allowed the guards of Carolina free reign. Now he's gone. Teams are saying, hey, hedge, stay home on R.J. Davis, make someone else beat us.
Big follow from Jaden Mustaf has it down to a 3-point spread. Davis got the switch, gets it back, wanted another. Terry the rebound, and he got bumped. It's a foul on Seth Trimble. It's his first.
Those two got a little battle going on right now. They're defending each other. They both are really good two-way players. They attack you differently offensively. Lance Terry's probably the better shooter of the two, but both really guard.
Lance Terry just looked up at the replay, and I think he knows maybe it wasn't the biggest bump from Seth Trimble, and they both just had a little chuckle about it.
Hey, he's strong. It's like I had to sell that.
Two hard-working players who are a lot of fun to watch.
They are.
All right, we got about 4.5 seconds separating game clock and shot clock at the end of the first half. With Georgia Tech with it, down by 3. Middle ball screen again. George knifing and finishing.
Great job there that time. They're not up on the ball screen. Allowed Nate George to snake that screen and get to his spot.
Jackson, tough shot. Way off target. And we head to halftime in a 1-point game.
And they're searching for answers. And with these guards, they're trying to drive. They're drawing a lot of attention. And for these front court guys, you need to crash. When they switch with the guards, you got to guard them. You got to dominate them on the offensive glass. And just got to get comfortable finishing in traffic.
Terry comes around the screen. Risky pass, and then Cadeau threw it off of O'Brien for North Carolina. Going up against the Jackets. All right, so we talked about the Georgia Tech injuries. Kawasi Reeves has the boot. He's got a stress reaction in his right foot. It's not a fracture, just needs a little bit of time to settle down. But he's out for a 3rd straight game. And then next to him, Javian McCullum out for a 4th straight game with a concussion. But Damon Stoudamire said to us last night, we think he's going to be back our next game, next Sunday against Northwestern.
And welcome both of these guys back. Both of those guys are starters when they come back. It just adds a lot of depth to this team. And this team will be so much better as they get into conference play when they get those guys healthy.
In year 2 for Damon Stoudamire. There's Nate George, sophomore who leads the ACC in assists per game. Runner rolled off. And who touched it last? Looked like Washington. So it does stay with the Yellow Jackets.
You're seeing Nate George there. He's driving. They're forcing him to score. And he's got 4 turnovers and 0 assists. He's got to get more aggressive, looking to score like he just did there.
He's looking for somewhere to go. Gets it into Dorian Onwuchekwa. Terry's been hounded by Trimble all game. O'Brien can shoot it. Back iron. 35% from 3 this year and for his career. Here's Trimble. He draws Terry. As you said, they've been matched up all day.
Just nowhere to go.
Powell attacks and walks with it. Traveling violation on Drake Powell. Well, one guy we haven't seen from North Carolina and you won't see is Ty Clotter. He gave great energy Wednesday against Alabama, but he got hit in his right eye. And Hubert Davis was telling us pregame it's getting better, but you can still see some of the discomfort for Ty Clotter over there. So he's not a go today. And Hubert Davis said he was #1 for us in terms of energy on Wednesday. He said #2 was distant.
Yeah, he brings a motor and a lot of activity. He'll be a welcome addition when he gets back.
Terry missed it from long range. Still looking for our first points out of halftime.
We talk about the lack of front court production. He'll get some on the offensive glass.
Ty Gladwell, you're saying?
Yes, yes. His activity on the offensive end, he'll come in and be able to catch it on short rolls, finish in traffic, offensive glass.
Georgia Tech transfer who does not get the chance to square off with the team where he spent last season. Tough drive, Cadeau. Offensive rebound, Washington.
You know he wanted to play in this game.
Davis, tough shot against O'Brien. George pushes. Lob. Ndongo had the mismatch with Trimble and draws the foul. 2 on Seth Trimble.
That's the issue with Baye Ndongo. He runs like a deer. And when he gets up and it forces a guard to have to guard him, and even if you're as strong and athletic as Seth Trimble is, it's just a mismatch.
If he runs like a deer, how would you say you run?
Like a turtle.
Like a turtle. At least you're still running. That's great.
Hey, at a turtle's pace.
It's better than nothing. Baye Ndongo to the line. Off those 9 points and 7 rebounds we showed you in the first half. Hey, tomorrow afternoon, our ACC Network women's basketball tripleheader starts at noon Eastern. Notre Dame and Syracuse. Then it's SMU, Florida State, and it wraps with number 8 Duke against Virginia Tech at Cameron. How about Notre Dame's game in the midweek against Texas, number 4 in the country? Niele Abbey's team won it in overtime and got 30 from Hannah Hidalgo.
She is so fun to watch.
Oh,
she is so fun to watch. I love her energy, her enthusiasm, and she is a bucket.
Cadeau. Tough shot. Van Allen Lubin swirls it out on the follow.
That's what we're talking about with the front line. When the guards are penetrating, you have to, because they're attacking the big. You as a front line player, you want to get yourself involved here. Look, that's Nate George there. You're inside. Win the battle, go to the glass. You may not get a lot of touches or a lot of plays run for you, but if you want to involve yourself in the game, if you're Jalen Washington, Van Allen Lubin, any of these frontline guys, crash the offensive glass, get yourself going.
Who do you think is most likely of the UNC front court by season's end to have the biggest role?
I think it'll be by committee all year long.
Do you think it's constantly going to change?
I think it's going to constantly be, guys. I don't know if. I think eventually Jalen Washington is going to figure his niche out. I think he's trying to play inside and fill a role that I don't think he can just physically do. And I think they'll make that adjustment. Whether it's Cade Tyson stretching the defense and allowing these guards to operate more in the paint because of his ability, I think he'll figure it out. I think game by game, it'll be by committee all year long.
Terry drew back iron. Georgia Tech couldn't follow. Carolina runs up by 1 with Davis. Trimble initiates off the Lubin screen. Trimble into the lane. The kick out. Cadeau is out of bounds on the sideline. And that's 11 North Carolina turnovers. 3 assists to 11 turnovers against 12 made buckets.
Second turnover like that. You know, I used to always, I know there's some former players out there that I used to say when I'm working them out, the tendency, they step backwards when they want to go forward. And I would always say, make that first step going forward. And I would actually train them on the sideline so they can know that make the first step attacking the defense going forward and not backwards.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing how often you do see that call in basketball. O'Brien on the drive. Good hands from Seth Trimble. Rinse and repeat for him. Mismatch in the post. Lubin's got George trying to front. Trimble pivots and uses Davis. For Cadeau. Can't knock it down. Lubin the offensive rebound.
That's how you get going. We talked about it. Unable to get the ball inside when he had the mismatch with George on him inside. That's okay. You don't get it. Shot goes up. Get to the glass.
You see 8 rebounds for the Vandy transfer, Van Allen Lubin. George skips. O'Brien stayed inbounds there along the sideline.
I think he's got a turn and face. There you go.
Bingo! Nearly ripped down the rim. Foul on Lubin is first.
He is a very tough matchup. And he is answering the bell here this afternoon here. Quick spin move there, baseline, goes up to punch it. Nothing Baye Ndongo can do but foul. That's all you can do. But that's the challenges you have with Baye Ndongo. He is a force inside and his versatility.
For Georgia Tech team hanging around. First 4 minutes of the second half. Told you last year wins against Duke in the ACC opener. That today is for Georgia Tech. Clemson in double overtime. And in late January against Carolina. So the wins last year, you beat 2 Elite 8 teams, a Sweet 16 team in North Carolina. Damon Stoudamire said, we might have had the best wins in the league.
Yes.
But he also said we were inconsistent against teams like ourselves.
And it's unfortunate. You want to take a step this year, and then you come out and you're missing 2 starters at the beginning of the season and missing significant time. And this team would be so much better, you know, as they roll around in the New Year's when they get the full complement of roster of players.
Davis short. If you're wondering why the crowd rejoiced for 2 missed free throws, not just because it helps North Carolina, but free cookies. Big block of Lubin on Nate George. RJ Davis went tumbling to save it. Transition 3. Jackson can knock it down, and then Ndongo rips down a 9th rebound.
George is really struggling. He's got to play off 2 feet when he gets that deep. Often tell guards you're not going to out-athlete the length of guys when you're not an above-the-rim player. Get there and play off 2 feet.
Mustaf lost it. Heels push. Jackson finishes. Timeout, Damon Stoudamire. The lead is 5 for the Tar Heels.
No one's better at transitioning defense and the offense on a fast break than Carolina. They're already up 10-0 to add another 2. Carolina trying to pull away right now. They're struggling, trying to find their way. And they got some things and challenges they have to navigate throughout this year, but everyone does. And it'd be great to see. I look forward to seeing who figures those things out.
Slow start to the second half on both sides. Georgia Tech with just 1 point out of halftime. 5 minutes in. Lance Terry draws a foul on the drive. So we'll step back aside. 5 minutes gone by in the second half. Heels by 5. At the free throw line for the Jackets. Back after missing last year with a persistent calf injury that forced him to redshirt. Told us last year that he first heard it in September. Tried to come back a week later, and it popped while he was backpedaling during a scrimmage. 2 weeks later, popped again, warming up. And he told us he just hated it watching last year. And he said, I've been injured a lot in college. He had a broken foot, he told us, at Gardner-Webb. Then the next year, a torn ligament in his toe in his same foot. So he's unfortunately used to being in the spot he was last year, needing to watch from the bench.
And he's had a bunch of injuries, and to his credit, he's just come back and competed, and he's turned himself into a heck of a player.
Jackets run down by 3, and Jaden Mustaf went Euroing by Davis, who read it well. RJ Davis, blow by on power for Lubin.
That's how the front line of these Tar Heels have to contribute. Carve out space, move when the guards are driving. Lubin is starting to get some really good production here on that front line. He's the only front court player for the Tar Heels to even score.
Terry can't answer from deep. Tipped around, and it stays with Georgia Tech. Yeah, Van Allen Lubin's got 5 points and 8 rebounds into the starting lineup today.
Can't turn the ball over against these Tar Heels. No one is better than them turning that defensive steals into offense on the other end. And Lubin, that's what you got to do with the front line. And all of these guys got to do that. The guard, you have 3 really good guards that are great at penetrating and put pressure on the defense. Play off those guys. Give yourself a better angle.
Terry. Oh, that was filthy.
Wow.
Off the cross into a game-tying triple, or to cut it to 2, should say.
And this game is being played at the tempo and pace that the Yellow Jackets want. Carolina wants this game up in the 90s if possible. And
Onwuchekwa lost his footing, and a foul is called. It's on Van Allen Lubin. How about this yank from Lance Terry?
Great job there coming off. He shakes up, crosses it, steps back to create more space, and knocks it down. He's a complete offensive player. He's a complete player in general because he guards the other team's best player as well. And his play has been, he's elevated his play during this stretch. Again, we talked about the Yellow Jackets missing 2 starters, and they've relied on him tremendously.
Career high in scoring this year in year 6 collegiately for Lance Terry, who reached 1,000 points Tuesday in his career. By the way, 3rd foul on Van Allen Lubin, who goes to the Carolina bench.
Watch the spin again, going back baseline, the hook.
Didn't go, and then a push-off on Dorian Onwuchekwa, his 3rd foul.
I think Baye Ndongo is backing him down too much. I think he has a quickness advantage. It's just turn and face and just drive it.
So instead of backing down, going to the drop step,
drop
face up and beat him.
Turn and face. I think he's quicker than the front line, and that's with his length. Be more effective for him if he did it that way. He's such a really good passer if you try to rotate and help.
More zone from Georgia Tech. North Carolina by 2, 7 minutes in. Good pass for Withers. Missed it wide open. Jackson tried to hammer the follow. George pushes, kicks. Terry wanted it. Baseline drive. Looking for a poster. Mustaf, back out Terry. The triple won't go. Withers the long hit ahead. Jackson in transition. Scoop won't go. Davis is blocked. Can anyone put it home? George. Transition 3 for a Georgia Tech lead.
Just a frantic pace there by both teams. Unable to capitalize on anything until George there with the block on one end comes down. Got to stop the ball. You don't expect him to take that shot. He's been struggling. It's a big time shot there, and getting the foul at the end of the play is even a bigger bonus.
And they got it on Elliot Cadeau, fighting for positioning. So on top of that, you get the made 3, and then you got the basketball as well. Baseline out of bounds, turned over. George wanted Ndongo, and Withers the flush. That's costly for the Jackets.
That's a big swing there with the lead, and you don't expect to turn it away for a pick 6.
Can Georgia Tech answer? A skip for Terry. Can't connect. Elliot Cadeau at the controls, tried to whip one for the cutting Davis, and it's a turnover. 14 of them for North Carolina.
Turnover on one end, and Elliot Cadeau rewards his big man for running the lane. Withers throwing it down. Got a close one here in Chapel Hill. In fast break points, I'm sorry, 14-3 in fast break points, and that's Carolina's strength. And if Tech can just keep this game at this pace, I think they'll be there to the end.
They've got George, Terry, Mustaf, Ndongo, and Onwuchekwa on the floor for Damon Stoudamire. Coming out of the under-12 timeout here at the Smith Center in Chapel Hill. Randolph Childress, Mike Monaco, our entire crew with you. Mustaf got the switch from Withers. The freshman off the bounce, tough shot. And the foul called. It's on Jaden Mustaf.
He's a big physical guard, and that's a tough call there, unless he extended his arm. Yeah, the elbow in the face. Usually those are blocking fouls.
Damon Stoudamire has commented that he thinks it's been an adjustment period for officials knowing how to officiate. A guard as physical as Jaden Mustaf, and that maybe he hasn't got a lot of calls yet.
He has. He says he doesn't think the officials know how to officiate it because he is a physical guard is there. He's looking to draw a lot of contact there. Great play here, throwing a lob against the zone defense, something that's been in a Carolina staple forever, and they're unable to make that. It's just been that type of day and year for the front court of North Carolina.
I mean, that is a must-have
Yes.
for North Carolina.
That's a pretty good pass there. You got to finish that.
They get bailed out. They keep it on this end. Shot clock winding down. Jackson in the corner. Off the bounce on Ndongo with the reverse from Ian Jackson.
Great job by the freshman there. Knowing he has a shot blocker on him. Uses a reverse layup. Uses the rim for protection.
Nate George had it roll off. Got it back. Terry Hoyce. Hits. Lance Terry ties it at 42.
Second change points. Yellow Jackets again up 13-5. They negated the advantage that the Tar Heel has in the fast break points, is why this game is tied up.
And then Elliot Cadeau and Jalen Withers not on the same page. Cadeau will check out. Seth Trimble returns for Hubert Davis. That was a 4-3 from Lance Terry. And it came on the first assist from Nate George. He's got Trimble on him. Davis under the screen. Pick and roll. Ndongo the finish from George.
That time was spaced in by Ndongo. Taking that middle ball screen and finishing without taking a dribble. And here Jalen Washington's on the ground grabbing that ankle.
Junior big man who has dealt with injuries going back to high school. Left side of your screen, Jalen Washington. Right side of your screen, I guess. Yeah, it just comes down and lands on Ndongo.
Yeah, it rolls that left ankle.
Had been a starter until today. And Washington has piled up 6 rebounds in this one. He's got to hobble off here with a little over 10 minutes remaining in the second half.
Big an injury. They'll see how significant that ankle injury is, because the one thing he does provide, he provides length that you need with the front court right now with the Yellow Jackets, with Theo and Baye Ndongo on the front line.
So now it's Lubin and Withers in the front court for UNC. Handoff Davis. Got on Muchekwa in the air, and the floater goes. 10 for R.J. Davis. Terry got free. Cans another. 5th 3 for Lance Terry.
Those are the defensive possessions that drive Hubert Davis nuts. He got 2 veteran guards back there, and R.J. Davis and Seth Trimble, and they don't communicate on the switch. Both stay on the ball, and you leave Lance Terry wide open for a 3.
When he had already knocked out 4 of them. Ndongo went reaching in, couldn't pry it free from Davis. Jackson, nowhere to go with it. Uses R.J. Davis. Driving on to Mustaf. Left it short.
It's not a good shot there.
Terry wants another. Left it short. Trimble pushes. Heels keep moving it. Trimble rises. Knocks it down.
And it's a really good shot. That's the difference in those 2 possessions. One pull-up is forced, and that time just reverse the ball to weak side. Seth Trimble doesn't take a lot of threes, but he's really good at making the ones that he takes. Shooting nearly 50%.
And now Ndongo again goes backing down. Again drop step, but he draws a foul. And that's 4 on Venal and Lubin. So you've got Washington on the bench with a left ankle injury. And now Venal and Lubin picks up his 4th with 8.5 still to go.
That's just the issue that Ndongo forces you to do. I mean, you know what he's going to do, but he's such a really good passer. You want to leave him one-on-one, and he's driving. You trying to get middle. You cut him off middle. He's going to drop step and shoot that hook.
47 all. And Baye Ndongo to the line. Just 2 for 6 at the stripe so far today. Good on the first. Drake Powell comes in. He'll get Van Allen Lubin. He's already at the table anyway. Before the 4th on Lubin.
Now this Carolina group that's on the floor now are really, really small. So they've got to be able to space you out and drive you off the bounce. Withers can space, and then you got 4 guards on the perimeter. Let's see if they change their offense. Be more of a 5-out. Let the guards get downhill and finish. The problem they're going to have is on the other end. They've got to find a way to rebound against Yellow Jackets, who have their starting front line in.
Davis got to the rim and got fouled.
That's the advantage you get when you go small. Now you got 5 guys on the perimeter. It actually helps these guards because they're able to drive the rim with a little less resistance.
How often do you think we might see Hubert Davis go to a small ball lineup? Right now, maybe out of necessity some, but moving forward, how much?
I think he's searching for answers. And he's got to get consistency out of that front line. I mean, they didn't score in the first half. And right now, outside of Lubin, you hadn't had much help. You hadn't had anything else. And where does it come from? I think it'll be by committee. It'll be game to game, and they're going to have to figure it out. So this lineup, it can be really effective. You're going to struggle some rebounding. The issue becomes with a guy like Baye Ndongo, who's on the bench. His versatility defends guards, but he's impossible to guard on the other end. So certain teams have players like that. Not many do.
Well-deserved breather for Baye Ndongo. But R.J. Davis puts North Carolina back on top. George driving, and he got fouled on the floor by R.J. Davis.
The issue with Carolina is that they show you possessions that they can be really good, really elite defending the basketball. And then there's times where they get lazy. And you foul here, and you're already in the bonus and 8 minutes to go in this half. And that's dangerous when you do not have a shot blocker. Because now if I'm Damon Stoudamire, I'm telling my guards and my bigs, just attack the rim. Attack the rim, crash. Trying to get us some offensive rebounds. There's no one there to block your shot.
All right, so with 8:06 left, 7 fouls on North Carolina. Nate George for his career, 71% at the line. Georgia Tech as a team today had missed 6 of 12. But then George makes both. So Georgia Tech back up by 1. And now what? We get a stoppage here from Jamel Spearman. Might have been checking on something with Dorian Onwuchekwa, perhaps. One of the other officials, Jeff Clark, was in conversation with him. And we'll get an inbound. Play on. Back to it. 8 to go. 1-point game in the ACC opener. And that's an illegal screen set by Drake Powell.
What Carolina was trying to do was, with that matchup, get R.J. Davis to hoping they would switch and get O'Brien on him to attack.
Watch the elbow here, left elbow from Powell. I mean, this, you just don't need that, right?
He never touched him. He just leans out the elbow. It's definitely an extension. I thought you could have let it go.
Footwork has to be coming around screens, and he feels like he's a better player for that, sitting and watching, but learning those things last season.
When you're out, you can use it the right way to get better. And I can assure you from my red shirt year, I spent so much time on those very things to improve. And Terry's done the exact same thing. He's just gotten so much better, so much more consistent in his play.
And he just comes off the screen there, draws another North Carolina foul, the second on Jalen Withers. And so like you said, it's free throws the rest of the way for the Jackets, and the 1-and-1 coming for Terry. Drake Powell, who had set that illegal screen in a small ball lineup, so maybe something he's not totally used to doing. He goes back to the bench. Terry to the line. 82% for his career. Good on the first.
And you got Seth Trimble down at the spot blocking out Powell. And that's just where Carolina is right now on their basketball teams.
$13 in the second half for Lance Terry of 19 total. The lead's 3 for Georgia Tech in the ACC opener. Withers sets the screen for Ian Jackson. Good touch pass, Trimble from Withers.
That's where I think Withers and these front court players of Carolina can be effective. Similarly the way Georgia Tech uses Baye Ndongo. Get him on short rolls, get him off the move, facing the basket. Not playing with their back to the basket, not spacing them behind the three-point line. Get them on a move like that.
Terry backs it out for George. Terry rises. Wanted another, but left it short. Cadeau pushes. Davis pulls up. Back iron. Trimble the offensive rebound. And he draws a foul and will go to the free throw line with a chance to put the heels back in front.
And when you push in transition like that, they're not allowing you to match up. You're getting stuck in these different matchups. When you're playing a lineup like Carolina has right now, just switch. Just guard a body. Everybody's the same. They're going to attack you off the dribble. Got to get matched up.
First foul on Baye Ndongo puts Seth Trimble at the line.
But these are the type of possessions that we're accustomed to seeing with Carolina, getting offensive rebounds, and it's just been a struggle this year because of that lack of size. And they're missing that All-American, that big guy, and Armando Bacot. This is the residual effect that you see from a guy like him not being here. Just his presence on the offensive glass. He didn't run your offense through him anymore, but he's still with a dominant force on the offensive glass.
Davis puts Carolina back in front. 7 to go in Chapel Hill. George. In and out. Rebound Withers. Cadeau navigates with Terry hounding him, and another Tar Heel turnover. Season high 17 of them today.
Cadeau.
His
Great
sixth.
vision. Yeah, it's great vision, and both of these point guards are struggling with turnovers today, and they're pass first guys, and they're looking to pass it, but the way they're being defended is they're forcing it to score like that.
Good take by George, but he missed it, and then Ndongo lands on the back of Elliot Cadeau.
Elliot Cadeau needs to take his time. I mean, Baye Ndongo landed on him.
They got the foul on the rebounding action against North Carolina as well.
But the guards are down there. They're just trying to battle. They're outmanned. They're outgunned on the defensive glass because they're so small. And I think this is where this game will be decided here in the next 6 minutes and 21 seconds. This game will continue as the shots goes up. Can Carolina rebound?
So the second on Elliot Cadeau. Ndongo to the line. Double bonus. He's good on the first. Let's have another look at the hard fall, and also Cadeau getting tagged for a foul.
Yeah, Cadeau fell and took his legs from up under him. Wasn't intentional, but it's a foul.
Another double-double for Baye Ndongo. He's got 15 and 10, and Georgia Tech's in front again. Boy, this one is not disappointed from the Smith Center.
It has not.
Jackson attacks. Too strong.
They're going to leave Withers open. Wherever he is, strong side, weak side. If he stands outside the three-point line, they're going to leave him open. He's got to dive and try to make a play.
No foul this time. A lot of contact in the post. And then Davis to the loose ball. Withers that time out of the corner. Cadeau behind the back. And a foul called on Jaden Mustaf. He wanted the foul at the other end, didn't get it, and then he gets tagged for one of his own here defensively.
Yeah, he had his hand in there trying to reach. Positioning-wise, he was there. Great to see Jalen Washington check back in the game. He left with that rolling his left ankle. Seemed everything checked out. Good to see him back.
So he replaces Withers. A little more traditional size-wise,
Yeah.
at least at that spot.
Yes.
But still 4 guards around Washington.
Still provides you some length.
And a fourth foul, by the way, on that reach in from Jaden Mustaf. Terry's hawking Davis. And a blocking foul on Lance Terry. His third.
Both teams are in the bonus now. Free throw shooting contest down the stretch. You've seen that call go the other way at times, but that's the right call. It's a bang-bang play.
So the 1-and-1 for the best free throw shooter in Carolina history, Jaden Davis.
Put him in the book. Count it. We're wasting daylight waiting on this one to go in. I'm calling it early.
You got places to be.
Yeah, it's just sunlight still out. Count this. 55-54 Carolina. I'm calling my shot.
Okay.
Freddie's laughing at me over here, but I'm telling you, Freddie, it's counted.
Book it. The lead goes back to the Tar Heels. 5:40 to go.
What a game.
George, Powell, Ndongo, Terry, and Mustaf the 5 for Damon Stoudamire. Ndongo sets the screen for Terry, who draws a foul on R.J. Davis.
And this is what I was talking about before with them icing the ball screen. And what I mean by icing is pinning you on the side. Davis has got to get on that side. You can't let him off the screen. You see it coming. You see him jumping in. You got to get there early. And what's happened, there's been some communication issues with Carolina on that, where the big is calling ice before he gets there. The guard is driven downhill. And that time, you don't call it early enough. The guard can't get to the top side like that. That's the foul.
And miss on the first. Hey, our championship Saturday coverage from Charlotte continues. Coming up a couple hours from now, 6 Eastern, a 2-hour pregame show, plus a command center presentation of the game with all kinds of camera angles and real-time stats. You can also watch on the ESPN app. So a split for Terry. We're tied at 55. Jackson didn't get Powell to bite. Cadeau for Jackson. Shuffled the feet, and now Cadeau on the drive, wrapped it around for Washington.
That's what you want from the front line guys at Carolina. Let the guards do the hard work. You got to come in, clean it up. That early in the first half, Washington had an opportunity to finish. He didn't. That time he did.
His first points all day. Ndongo's got Davis on him. Powell trying to get it there, and they do. Back out of a double. Powell can't hit for 3. Tech's gone 5 minutes without a made bucket. Davis lays it in.
Davis went behind the basket, and he's laid up the court. Georgia Tech unable to see it, unable to take advantage of it.
Dangerous spot. Damon Stoudamire doesn't use the timeout here. He is going to use it now. 13 seconds into the possession.
Carolina guards are leading the way. They've struggled with their front line. That hasn't changed. And Baye Ndongo, Nate George has had his moments, but Lance Terry's been the guy.
And here he is with Trimble back on him. And now George, a switch for Trimble. Shot clock below 10. Onwuchekwa had the mismatch, didn't get it from George. Going off the bounce against Trimble, creates some space, and the jumper spins out.
One that they tried to get Onwuchekwa on a post-up. Great job fronting him in a post. That's what's difficult about bigs when you try to run plays for him. If you front it.
Cadeau tried to wrap it around, and that's his 7th turnover. George. No bite from Cadeau. Backed out for Lance Terry. Tech in dire need of a bucket. Mismatch again. Good interior passing for Ndongo.
Great job by D.O., the freshman there. I mean, catching the ball, fighting for that last possession. He allowed R.J. Davis to front him in a post. That time, he moved his feet, got in front, waited on the double team. Baye Ndongo won't get an easier basket than that all season long.
So he's got 17 and 11. Terry reaches in, and it's his 4th foul. 1-1 coming.
Yeah, Hubert Davis is not happy with Cadeau. telling him you got to be careful with the basketball. I've never been a big fan of bounce passes on the perimeter myself. I think he comes off there. If he's open, you pass it right to the shooting pocket. Bounce passes on the perimeter are slow. And it wasn't a bounce pass. He just caught it. I didn't think that was on Elliot Cadeau.
Well, maybe from the prior possession with that wraparound, kind of one-handed.
Yeah, that's what he's getting on him about it. Possession slow. Just too many turnovers for him.
Davis, the rare miss, especially on a front end, gives it back to Georgia Tech.
Hey,
down by 2.
You notice I didn't guarantee that time. I wasn't feeling it that time, so I didn't guarantee it.
And now the Jackets operate. Onwu Chekwa. That is not the shot they wanted, and it goes back to the heels.
He can make that shot. He doesn't take a lot. He hit one earlier in the first half, and they're going to force him to take that shot.
He did there. 3 for 18 from long range. Carolina with it up by 2. Jackson's got Ndongo on him. Around the Washington screen. Now R.J. Davis. 5 to shoot. Cadeau for 3. Yes, sir! Terry on the rip through. Tough shot. Can't answer. 5-point game with 2 minutes to go.
Quick shot there by Georgia Tech. You don't mind Lance Terry taking it. A shot like that, but that was relatively quick in the shot clock. Not much ball movement, just one pass and a shot. And your advantage right now is with Baye Ndongo. He has Ian Jackson guarding him on the defensive end of the floor. You don't run into him.
Ndongo, big block with 3.6 remaining on the shot clock. And Georgia Tech in a massive need of a stop. Hubert Davis will take a timeout with 1:38 remaining in the second half. Come on back to Chapel Hill, 5-point game. Second game in a row, North Carolina has struggled to shoot it from long range. But in a time when it needed it, North Carolina gets a big 3 from Elliot Cadeau.
Great job there by R.J. Davis coming off the screen. Elliot Cadeau shakes up, forces the guard to tag, and he knocks down a 3. This team has struggled. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. They're just not. And you need to make timely shots, and Elliot Cadeau has struggled taking care of the basketball. But that is a big-time shot up to making this a 5-point game here and having the basketball. This is a big possession here for both teams. For Georgia Tech, if you want to get back into this game, to get it down to one possession game, you got to get a stop here in the basket on the other end.
If you're just joining us, or maybe you're tuning in looking for Stanford and Cal, you can watch that right now on the ESPN app, and then we will get you to Berkeley as soon as this one goes final here in Chapel Hill. He's Randolph Childers. I'm Mike Monaco, our entire crew behind the scenes. Had a lot of free throws in this second half. Georgia Tech at 18 fouls. As a team, they're in the double bonus. And remember, you got 3.6 remaining on the shot clock here for North Carolina, with the Jackets needing a stop. Seth Trimble will key it in from the corner with 6'9" Baye Ndongo in front of him.
I expect some type of fade screen or something for R.J. Davis or elevated doors here.
Instead, Cadeau can't hit. Trimble in a battle and an offensive rebound.
No need to shoot. I wouldn't set a screen right now. If I'm Georgia Tech, I'd switch. He's not going to go early. 6 seconds left. Just let him go ISO.
Ndongo does switch on to Davis. Step back. Wanted the dagger. Who's it last touch by? Georgia Tech and Mustaf.
You hear coaches say it all the time. 2 hands, 2 hands, 2 hands. Shot goes up, you reach for it with 1 hand. Just goes off Mustaf's fingertips. Gives Carolina 20 seconds.
And then Jackson blew by an unsuspecting Mustaf. Boy, Georgia Tech has had chances here. You had 3.6 on the timer. Missed the shot, gave up the offensive rebound. Couldn't get the defensive rebound, and then Ian Jackson just goes right by Mustaf.
This is what Carolina's needed, because they're awarding themselves multiple possessions on the offensive end of the floor. Something that's been a staple in this program that they've struggled to do this year.
2 free throws for Captain Jack. Ian Jackson good on the first. By the way, 4th foul on Dorian Onwuchekwa. So he comes out. Luke O'Brien, a better shooter, comes in.
Made or miss here if you're in the Yellow Jackets. You don't have to have a 3, but you just got to attack quickly right now. As much as the score is your enemy, you got plenty of time, but you're also working against the clock here as well.
Biggest lead for North Carolina. It's 7 with $1:11 remaining. All right, so you said don't need a 3. It's O'Brien, George, Ndongo, Mustaf, and Terry. Georgia Tech's only made 1 of its last 10 shots. Granted, they have been to the free throw line a bunch. George gets it and goes.
Watch the ball screen with Baye Ndongo.
Ndongo spinning. Tough shot goes for Baye Ndongo. It's down to 5. He's got 19.
This is where
Cadeau nearly turned it over. Trimble just gets it over the timeline, and crisis averted for Carolina.
This is where you need to get it to R.J. Davis.
Cadeau kicks. Withers moves it. Trimble attacks. Had it roll off. Final 26 seconds. 5-point game. Mustaf to the rim. Got fouled and will get 2. Carolina left the door ajar on a couple of trips down to that end of the floor.
This is interesting to see. We see this situation a lot in college basketball with coaches, and they make these decisions. 2-possession game. It's 40 seconds. Stoudamire elected to let that possession play out. They get a stop. They come down now with a chance to make it a 1-possession game, but it's 23 seconds left. So now you got a foul.
The officials now head over to the monitor. Jamel Spearman and Ron Groover are having a look at what for now is called the third.
The last
foul
plays
on
under
Davis.
Last plays under review for timing with the clock.
One of the best things in college basketball this year.
Yes.
Those announcements. Thank you, Ron Groover. So they're checking the clock. In any event, roughly, let's say 24
The clock
seconds
is correct. 23.8.
We'll say precisely 23.8 to go. So you get free throws here, and then you got a foul.
Got a foul. And you want to keep the ball out of R.J. Davis' hand.
Which they did on the last possession.
Yes, well, I think it was more Cadeau is just trying to just be a point guard. Give me the ball and get out of the way. But when they get moments like that, you want to get the ball to R.J. Davis. He's just, like I said, he's the best free throw shooter in the history of this school that's had a lot of great free throw shooters. And he's been in a lot of big games. He's closed a lot of big games. And I'd be surprised if Hubert didn't draw up something to put the ball in R.J. Davis's hand.
In the meantime, Jaden Mustaf goes to the line for the first time this afternoon in his first ACC game of his collegiate career. 79% at the stripe this season for the number 66 recruit in the ESPN 100, and he's good on the first. Ibrahim Souare getting ready to come in. He's got fouls to give, so he replaces Lance Terry, who's got 4.
He's going to be on the ball at some type of full court pressure. He'll guard the inbound to use his length to be distracted. They'll try to create a turnover if they can. If they can't, then I think they're fouled afterwards.
Mustav's second is good. 3-point game, 23.8 to go. Carolina's got 2 timeouts, and they will put all 6'9" of Soiree on Cadeau, who can run the baseline. Gets it into Davis, a trap along the sideline. Davis tied up, gets rid of it to Trimble, who's fouled by O'Brien. Georgia Tech got the trap, but R.J. Davis in year 5 stayed patient.
That's the play of the game if Carolina just holds on to win this game. Because you get trapped there, he doesn't panic, he's in front of their bench. He's strong with the basketball there. Finds Seth Trimble. That's why I said you put the ball in R.J. Davis's hands, and you can live with the outcome, right? Because that's why, regardless of how he's playing, that's a great play right there by your veteran guard.
All right, so now Trimble, you see 6 of 7 today, much improved for the season. Good on the first. So it makes it a 4-point lead with 18 seconds to go. And we'll get a timeout taken by Damon. Tough schedule. And in this day and age of college basketball, you need some time to figure it out.
Well, unfortunately, in today's game, you don't have time.
Yeah.
You just got to get it done. And everyone's adjusting to new players and figuring out their teams. And when you're Carolina, you're just expected to be good. You're not expected to have those type of situations.
Trimble makes both. 5-point game, 18 seconds to go. George over the timeline.
Got to go quick. You don't have time to wait. Don't need a 3, but you got to go quick.
Terry's fouled by Lubin. So 5 seconds come off the clock. And Lance Terry can go to the line for 2. And Van Allen Lubin just fouled out as well.
That's okay. I think if you're Carolina, you're probably going to put another guard in, and you need ball handling here. You just got to make sure you get this free throw if Terry is to miss the second. Elliot Cadeau needs to get on the line right now. They're trying to make a substitution.
Lubin's got to leave the game with his 5th foul. Ian Jackson, like you said, replaces him.
The things you want to do on a free throw like this, you want that one guy pinches and gets the shooter. The other 2 guys gang box out on the free throw line. You got to make sure you secure this rebound if Lance Terry is to miss.
Terry's got 21. If you're thinking ahead of who you want to foul, Jalen Withers, 72% for his career, but really all 5 options out there now are pretty solid and probably not going to go anywhere near Withers if you're Carolina.
Yeah, they'll put Withers will be a screen. He'll run a fly pattern. They won't have to worry about throwing him the ball.
Go ball.
He's running a 9 route. He's gone.
You want to get it to R.J. Davis in a 3-point game. Trimble, a good free throw shooter as well, like we said. It's into Davis. It's a trap. And Davis made the right play again. Trimble into the front court. Jackson finally fouled by Ndongo. And 6.4 is all that's left for Georgia Tech.
That's what you want to do. Get the ball to R.J. Davis. Be strong with the basketball. Great job by Seth Trimble coming back to him, shortening that pass, throwing it up, putting the freshman on the line. But if you want to put a freshman on the line in a situation like this, you want it to be this. Hey, relax, we're up 3. We just need 1. And he's already 2 for 2.
14 for 17 in his rookie season, and he's good on that. So a 4-point lead with 6.4 left, and North Carolina trying to get to the finish line in the ACC opener and snap a 3-game slide.
Great battle by both teams, but I think once you're in a conference play, you're going to be in games like this. Throw the preseason rankings out of the window. This is conference basketball. This is ACC basketball.
And tell you
Home and
what,
away is challenging.
don't sleep on Georgia Tech when they get healthy.
Oh, God, no. They'll be really impressive, and they'll win a lot of games when they get healthy.
George lays it in at the horn, and North Carolina survives. Hubert Davis and the Heels win their ACC opener and take down Georgia Tech. That wraps things up.